Hello, everybody. We are going to get started in just a minute. I think we have a short little warm-up video to show you, and then we're going to jump right into this webinar. So let's get started there.
40% of B2B deals are lost to indecision because of complex buyer group dynamics. Knowing the different personalities within a buyer group is critical for sellers to navigate through the varying and sometimes opposing views within the buyer group. xiQ Buyer Group Dynamics enables you to listen, understand, and engage every person in the buying group. By looking at social media and the intent of each individual, sellers can strategize how to activate dormant accounts and increase sales velocity. With xiQ, segment the personalities of the buying group by engaging with every buyer at every stage of the buying journey and close deals faster. Win more deals with xiQ. Learn more at xiqinc.com.
All right. That was a new capability we recently launched on buyer groups, and I hope you all go to our website and check it out because it is really innovative, and I think it's the first capability on the marketplace where you can actually segment the people that you're talking to within an account into buyer groups and understand the personalities associated with those particular groups and the group dynamics. So it's a very, very powerful tool. I hope you go to xiqinc.com to check out that new capability. But today I want to welcome you to our webinar on individualizing B2B selling at scale using SmartSourced content. My name is Leela Gill. I am the CMO at xiQ, and we are the first personality-driven sales and marketing platform designed for B2B enterprise sales. And with me is our CEO, Usman Sheikh, the founder and executive of our company. Prior to founding xiQ, Usman served in several vice president roles with global responsibility at SAP, including product management, sales enablement, and digital commerce. And he has been a guest speaker at a large number of universities, including the University of Texas, Wisconsin, Alabama, Louisiana State, Clemson, and he is also a graduate of the University of Michigan. Welcome, Usman.
Thank you, Leela, and good morning, everyone.
So we're going to talk about, the next slide shows you our agenda. We're going to talk about some new rules of B2B selling and what's changed in the world in the last couple of years. And then we're going to tell you a little bit more about personality-driven selling and why it's so important in today's world. And then we're going to talk about SmartSourced content and show you some new capabilities for marketing and sales leaders to really effectively communicate with their prospects and audiences in real time. So to kick this off, I think, first of all, let's talk about the new rules of B2B selling. Usman, things have changed. Help us out here and tell us a little bit about the new dynamics here with B2B selling.
So Leela and audience, as you know, we are in a much more segregated sales environment than ever before. The number of events have panned out. The desire within prospects and buyers to actually meet salespeople has waned, and and buyers are doing a lot of research online and getting prepared, reaching out to reference clients on their own before they actually ever engage a sales team. So it's a totally different buying landscape. The way buyers behave is very different. And what buyers, especially in the B2B industry, are expecting are partners. They're not expecting salespeople. They don't want somebody coming in doing demos, showing features and functions. They need to be educated about the bigger picture, the bigger landscape, what's happening in the industry, what are future trends, what are the impacts of technology and different solutions, and what are the results and outcomes they're bringing. So they want to be educated. So the whole sales motion has shifted from going and talking about your product and the value proposition your product could bring to actually laying the groundwork for that by educating your prospects and getting them to understand. And by doing that, if you're successful, if these sellers are successful in actually helping their clients understand the business climate, understand what are the options that are available to them to be able to solve their pain points. Once you're able to do that, you can start earning your reputation as a thought leader. And we will show you how xiQ smart content really accelerates that process and to a great extent democratizes that process by giving every salesperson who may not have the same capability as being able to educate the capability now with xiQ smart content to become, get into that role of becoming a education partner of your prospective buyers. So the first thing that happens when you start educating is you project yourself as a thought leader. And what that does is when you are recognized as a subject matter expert, it earns the trust of your buyers. They start listening to you because you're not talking about your product, you're not talking about your features, you're not talking about your value proposition. You're opening that discussion up to have with, what's happening in the industry, right? And by helping the clients and prospective buyers understand that, you establish trust. And therein is the secret to generating net new leads, which is, okay, now I have trusted people. They will start asking now, Usman, how does xiQ do that, right? And that's my first win. So, but in order to get to that point, Leela, we had to go and raise awareness, educate, and we continuously need to do that. And it serves two purposes. Helps me get established as a subject matter expert and earn the trust, more importantly, earn the trust of my buyers.
Yeah, I think this is such an important point, and one that I want to, as a marketing leader myself, recognizing that we have to be educating our audiences is so critical. And yet I feel like we don't have all the tools available to help us do that really fast. Like, how do we become industry experts? How do we understand we all know our own products, right? We understand what our products, the problems our products solve, but how do we put that into context of what's happening today in the industry or in an account or with a particular person within that account? And I think that's what's really unique about what we're offering. And I think this point about educating is huge for everybody. And I think we know it instinctively as marketers and salespeople, but we just don't have the tools to do it or know how to get started. So great point. I think that is the key to B2B selling. We want to move over to talking about how to engage, how to, once you understand this fundamental capability that we have to be educating, where do we go from there? How do we understand what they're talking about and what's happening in the industry?
Yeah, so two things I want to mention. So number one is that in addition to buyers looking for a partner to help them understand the realms of the possibility, they also want to be taken care of in a highly individualized manner. I don't want to be treated with the same way Leela is treated or anybody else in my company. I want to have my one-to-one relationship with that buyer. So understanding who I am or who your prospective buyer becomes supremely important. What are their needs? What are their interests? What are the topics that get them engaged in conversations, right? And engaged in it. So xiQ, as you know, Leela, has launched this capability of being able to derive first-party intent data. And let me explain what that first-party intent data is. And this greatly helps us in being able to individualize that communication at scale, right? So one will be content we'll talk about, and then what content we want to create for a particular individual, we need to go and understand what is first-party intent data. What is first-party intent data? So it is what is coming, so to speak, from the horse's mouth, right? It's directly coming from individuals and companies. This is what people and companies are posting on social media networks. This is what they're saying in videos. This is what their press releases are about. This is what the news about that company is about. This is directly coming from those. It's not hearsay and it is not inferred. It's directly coming from the source. So we can identify, it's not an anonymous source, it's a known source. So xiQ has this great capability of being able to pull up an individual and right there show you what is the intent data based on their professional backgrounds, and what they're talking about on social media, right? And so that becomes really, really important because now it helps me, this first party intent data helps me custom tailor my approach specifically for topics that are of interest to you and your preferences that are of interest to you.
Absolutely. And what I think is so interesting is today, you know, again, as a marketer, the definition that I've had in the past is intent data sort of aggregated at, you know, a company level, if even that, to be, you know, and as you said, you use the word inferred. And so we really haven't had, as marketers or salespeople, the tools to get very, very individualized, specific, fine tune into the topics that a person within a company is talking about. So let's talk about the difference between company intent data and individual intent data. And what does that mean for us as marketers and salespeople?
Yeah, great question. So, and a great observation as well. So there is a lot of buzz around the word intent data, which is specifically why xiQ has coined the term first party intent data to make a distinction. Intent data, broadly speaking, today is derived from search that is taking place on the internet and people hitting different various websites. As you said, as I said earlier, it's inferred. We cannot pinpoint to an individual and say, this is what that person is saying. First party intent data, as I was saying earlier, is about that individual. Now, xiQ, as you know, has many clients, has millions of people that are searched, hundreds and thousands of companies that are looked up and subscribed to. And when we go and look at what companies are saying, that aggregated view, as you were saying, you know, it's aggregated across a company. And even though it's first party intent data, meaning that these are all the different individuals that belong to a company, and this is exactly what the company itself is saying, when you aggregate that up, even though it's coming from each individual quote unquote horse's mouth, it is still, when you aggregate it up, it gives you a very different impression of what the company is actually talking about. Versus when you double click and go down to the individual, what they're talking about. And herein lies the predicament of intent data, that if you take this broad brushstroke approach and you paint the individual with that, you're going to have the exact opposite effect that you want. Instead of trying to individualize, personalize, and engage them, you have now just put them into another stereotypical box and then classified that. And instead of with brownie points and you know the trusted advisory points that you need to earn, you'll actually get treated poorly, because you'll say, okay, you're treating me just like another generic CMO or a CEO or a CTO or whatever my job title is, right? So knowing the individual intent is super important in being able to individualize and customize your approach for a particular individual, and then educate them. Right?
Absolutely. So let's talk about, we're sort of putting the pieces together, and we're going to show you in just a minute how you can leverage these new capabilities. But let's finish this off with one more piece of conversation about smart content, a term that, again, we've coined, smart content. Tell us what smart content is, Usman, and how marketers, and then we'll talk about how it fits into personality-driven selling.
Yeah, perfect. So first of all, everybody knows content is king, right? And content is what drives engagement. So what xiQ has done is it's built this AI-based engine that takes the first party intent data of an individual. So these are specifically what that individual is saying, what they're talking about, or what the company is saying. And this new concept is to use today's news. This is super important. This is pretty radical as well. So use today's news and bundle it or couple it with your marketing collateral, right? So if you have a video, if you have a white paper, if you have any sort of special offers, how about if you put it together with what's current in the news today, right? Why? Why do we want to do that? Because remember, first party intent data tells us what is of interest to this individual. So now if I go into the zone of what is the interest of my prospective buyer, and then place my content or my marketing collateral within the context, or my video, marketing video or information video within the context of what is of interest to the individual, to my prospective buyer. So obviously my open rates will go up significantly higher because I'm sending information which is definitely of interest to the prospective buyer. And within that context, I am also placing my own marketing material. And we have another concept in here in the newly released xiQ Workbench, which is called dynamic audience selection. And we will show that in our example in a second as well. And dynamic audience selection helps you find the audience from your mailing list, from your contact list, which would be the most ideally suited to receive that. So let me just summarize what SmartSourced content is. It's a new concept whereby we understand the needs of a particular individual. We take your marketing collateral, we augment that and enrich that by putting it in today's news. So it becomes current to your prospective buyers. It's of interest to them. And we are able to drive 10 times more engagement as a result of this smart content. And very, very important that this smart content is an extremely new and novel capability. Why? Because in order for you to customize and individualize an email and find content that's specific to an individual or group of individuals, it's very, very time consuming. And that's where xiQ's AI engine comes in, helps you find the content. And I'm very eager to show this to you with Taylor.
Yes, we're excited to jump into that. And I'll just say one thing that's, for me personally, that's so powerful about this is it is the combination of all of these capabilities together. Imagine, I mean, think about it as a marketing or a salesperson, like the news from last week, even the news from 2 days ago is kind of old nowadays. So this capability to produce real-time news and have your marketing collateral side by side with that real-time news, and then fine tune into the topics that your buyers and audiences really want to hear about. The capability is extremely powerful, and I'm excited to show people the Workbench capability that we're launching. So let's talk about personality-driven selling, just to open it up and give everybody a quick definition, and then let's get into the demo, because I think
I'll do it really quick. So this again, xiQ is the world's first personality-driven sales and marketing platform. We've tapped into psychology and matched it with AI to predict the buying behavior using traditional behavioral assessment methodologies. We focus on providing information about individuals, companies, and industries that's extremely insightful and helpful for sellers to advance their goals. And it's a unified platform. What that means is agility, lower total cost of operations and ownership. And because of that agility, it allows you and your organization and team to move in real time. Super important, right? Leela just said, 2 days old news is no longer valuable to me. Move now. And let's jump in and show you how this works. Taylor, if you don't mind switching us over to the platform. And I'll continue the story, Leela, if you can just switch over to the platform, please.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll tell you the story on how this SmartSourced content and the agile real-time enterprise works. SecureEye, we've changed the name, but this is a real story with names changed, of course, right? So SecureEye is an xiQ client, and they are using the xiQ Workbench and SmartSourced content to generate content that their salespeople send out to their prospective audience on a weekly basis. At SecureEye, they're a cybersecurity company, and on a particular Friday, the 13th, this is true, I'm not making it up, there was a big cyber attack that took place. Because of the sales intelligence portion of xiQ, the sales team at SecureEye was alerted that a major, massive cyber attack on the national health system was taking place in UK, and it was moving westwards to the United States. So what they did is they created an email like this one. It was from SecureEye. It's called Cybersecurity Threat Warning. And they coupled up all these different articles that were about that particular attack taking place. And they were able to take the news that was really, really current, literally like half-hour old news, and they were able to package it into this kind of a digest. And they said, look, if you need help, click on that red button and you'll be providing linked into our support desk, for example. Any latest news would come out. And they took this and they sent it out to their entire mailing list. And this cybersecurity threat warning created a lot of goodwill. Now, let's show you how smart content actually works. How can you do this in minutes on Friday the 13th, late in the afternoon? Step number one, they put in certain key terms. This could be a first-party intent data terms, or these could be the terms related to the cyber attack that was taking place. They put those terms up. This is the xiQ workbench. And what we are showing you over here is the content explorer part of the xiQ workbench. So within xiQ workbench, we give you multiple ways of sourcing content. And this way, if you scroll back up a little bit, please, is based on entering key search terms or combinations of search terms. And based on that, it starts bringing the latest news, right? Next, please. What I can do from here, I can click on any of these articles, and staying within xiQ workbench, I can get a preview of the article and decide if this is something I want to include into my weekly briefing document. And so simply I go and I click on certain articles. Next screen. Yeah, I click on certain articles. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I can click on certain articles and I can drag and drop them into my email, right? It's simply as easy as that. Now, xiQ gives me a lot of cool capabilities. It gives me this within the Content Explorer. The tab you're seeing right now is called What's Happening. And this is all the latest business news that's taking place, irrespective of company, right? I can also see news based on particular, and I can select a particular company, find news related to that. And again, simply by clicking, I can preview the article and I can drag and drop that article and drop it into my email template. And lastly, one of my favorites is the ability to search. I want to bring in my own collateral. Remember, my own marketing collateral. Can simply type in the name of a particular website. It finds all the material that's available, and simply by clicking in and again dragging and dropping, I can drop it and start composing my email. So if you can imagine, if you go to the next one, please. Right. And here I can also click and have my favorites. And so the point we wanted to make over here is that xiQ, through smart content, what's happening, particular accounts, favorites, and search, gives you infinite number of opportunities to find the latest content and put it into your email, right? So that's like saves you a lot of time. And imagine that we've selected this content in minutes. Something that would have taken months to do or weeks to do with armies of people, we've done that in minutes. Now, this security threat briefing, then they send it out, they publish it. And the way they publish it, you can, are we going to, yeah, you have multiple choices of publishing it. xiQ links in with Outlook. And as a result of linking it with Outlook, you can send it through your Outlook. And it has its own emailing capabilities as well. The next is finding the audience for my outreach. And here, again, something really, really interesting xiQ does. What we are seeing on the page on the right-hand side, where you see the recommended people and the recommended list, these are my mailing contacts. This is my mailing list. I've used an Excel or a CSV file, uploaded them. Everything is enriched with personalities and colors and so on. So I know what kind of people are there, and all my lists are here as well. Now, the dynamic audience selection capability of xiQ helps you put in words to find the ideal audience. So here we put in the word cybersecurity, and the engine recommends these are the right kind of people, and this is the order in which the lists are. Now, I can go in and my next mailing could be about cloud computing. So I can go into my mailing list in cloud computing, and I can put in the word cloud computing. And if you were noticing, what you would notice is the arrangement of the people, the recommended people, and the arrangement of my recommended lists has changed. And what this has done is it's gone into that first party intent data and basically found the most appropriate lists and individuals that would correspond to the topics that you are writing about. And by doing so, you're able to do two things. You're able to bring content that's individualized and personal, and you're able to select audience that would be the best set audience to receive that. And that's how you use smart content in short time periods. And the amount of value that team at SecureEye was able to close a $3 million deal as a result of goodwill they built with some of their prospects by sending them this cybersecurity threat warning. And they came across as guys that were really knowledgeable, very empathetic towards their clients' need, and they were always making sure that everybody was kept aware of that. So that's an example of how SmartSourced content in minutes can entirely create a whole set of new leads, build an extreme amount of goodwill, and help you build your reputation as a thought leader and a subject matter expert. Taylor, if you can go back to the slides, please. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Usman, I just wanted to bring up one point, because the dynamic audience matching, that is a word or words that we're using to talk about matching content or matching the audience to the content that you want to produce. That is in addition to your standard capabilities of sending out SmartSourced content to other lists. So this is a additional capability that helps you, again, fine tune the audience that's right for your content. So xiQ does work. xiQ Workbench has the capability to upload your lists. You know, if you didn't want to use that, we still have that capability in addition to this new capability called dynamic audience matching. So very powerful techniques. And as a marketing leader, I want to emphasize how important it is. You know, Usman talked about being able to do this in minutes, not hours. And that is extremely powerful. Think about now the content you can start to produce and the individualization you can do if you're giving this capability to your marketing team or your sales team to do it with a specific account or with a specific industry, and to just be producing these digests. I know we produce the digest. In fact, if you're interested and you're in the audience, go to our website, xiqinc.com, and you'll see a capability to sign up for our xiQ digests. We have a lot of people that are really interested in those digests, and we have a selection that you can look through on our website. So I think we're at the end.
If I can add one more,
sure.
Leela, I think to your point. So the main currency in B2B selling is situational awareness. All the executives, anybody who's a director, anybody who's in professional roles today in B2B selling needs to have situational awareness. And that example of that cybersecurity threat, it showed situational awareness on the part of the SecureEye team that built that and sent it out on Friday the 13th at such a late hour. And it helped raise the situational awareness of the recipients, which is very important, because it made me, the recipient of that email, look fully informed about what was going on. So if my boss asks, hey, have you heard about this cybersecurity threat? I would be able to brief them right there and then, or even better, I would take that and I would forward it to my team and say, guys, be careful. Something's happening out there. And then I would look like the real hero, right? So situational awareness, smart content equals to situational awareness, right? Very, very important, folks.
Absolutely. Yes. So I would love to invite all of you that are watching us on LinkedIn Live or on the on-demand or recorded or live webinar to book a meeting with us and learn more. We just gave you the tip of the iceberg here today, talking about Workbench. We've got a lot of new features that we're releasing in our marketing Workbench product. And of course, we also have the sales intelligence piece, which gives you the personality, the account and industry intelligence that you need, and the capability to act on that intelligence in real time as well. So thank you so much for participating in our session today. And I think with that, we will wrap this up right on time. And before we leave, we do have one poll question. We would like to ask everybody if you are interested in seeing our webinar on April 21st about individualization, how it's driving B2B selling to be more precise. Please select the yes button here and we will make sure you get a invitation. And then at the end of this webinar, I'd like to ask you to fill out a short survey that we've deployed that will follow up right after the end of the session. So with that, thank you so much from Usman and myself at xiQ. We welcome your questions and I hope you come and talk to us by booking a meeting with us. Thank you again and have a great day.